open it up right away for questions. You can ask a question to the group, or you can ask a question to a specific person, to Tanim, Julie, or Fabi. And if you don't have questions, I do, so don't worry. Anybody have a question?
Yeah, well, I have a few questions.
Good. Start with one.
Yeah, I'm interested in opening a CDC or a CDE. I mean, they have so many different names.
What is it?
Child Development Center, Child Development Education.
You're interested in opening one?
Okay.
But it's, I mean, it's not so much as a more as an owner, like the owner, not so much as the director. So that's the reason I came to the class, to find out. I mean, how did you start? I mean, if you want to open one, but not so much as a.
You just want to be the owner of the business and the building.
Yeah.
And you can do that, and there are two ways. And one is you can find an existing school that's already zoned and licensed. You'll have to get the license again, or you can do what I did, which was not the easiest way, and that is to, have a piece of property, and it takes a lot of work to research and see if you can zone it if it's a commercial piece of property, and those are the two ways. And you have to make sure that you have all of your the employees that are qualified to run your center. They'll have to meet all the requirements as well. So you have to find your physical space first, and then everything else that goes along with it.
And you would work with Community Care Licensing. They're a state agency that is in Santa Barbara, and they license family child care homes, all the centers, elder care homes. I mean, they're in charge of setting up licensing. So they would give you would go to workshops with them, and you would start working with them on what you need to do. You would have to apply,
What's the name again?
Community Care Licensing.
Yeah, and they have an orientation. They have a couple different times during the year, and you can go online, and you have a year to use your certificate that says you presented that you attended that orientation. So, and they will give you all the guidelines that you need for your physical space.
And all the handbooks from the state.
Yes, everything that you will need to open and operate a center, all the requirements that you'll have to meet.
If you have questions too, I mean, Tanum's gone through the process, but we also have former students or people that we know that own centers in the community, and that's who you'd want to talk to see what's it going to take, what's the timeline process, are there centers that are available, how do we do this? Yeah.
And all of your answers will come once you figure out where, then you'll be able to know whose brain you should pick.
I already had the plan on how to do, where to put it, but I just need to do more of the research. Yeah. It's like an entrepreneur. It's a new thing that it probably makes something, I don't know, right now.
Yeah, so you're kind of the entrepreneurial side of the business, which is great, and you would need to team up with somebody who has the early childhood education component, who will be the teacher, basically.
But you should go to an orientation, because then you'll know, and it will be knowledge that you get for yourself versus what someone is telling you. Because if you follow their their packet that has their application packet to your physical space, everything, you'll have all the answers that you need right there, and then it will just be up to you.
So go on orientation with a community care license?
Yeah.
And they're the same people that if I wanted to have a child care facility in my home, if I wanted to do in-home care, I'd go through them too. So whether it's a commercial property or an in-home care. Okay,
great. Whether it be a family child care or a commercial center.
Perfect.
They do all that.
I have a question. Can I, as an international student, have experience or in the centers like kindergarten, like in here? Because I'm a teacher too. I finished my bachelor degree in my country, and I worked as a teacher in the kindergarten in my country too. And I just come in here to take my major as associate degree, early childhood education, and I really interesting about to see how in here in America they care about the children, and I want to take more skills, experiences about it, because in my country I took a program, Pastoral Kids, if you know about it, yes, from Denver, they come in our country and give us like what program methods, and I certificated with them, and it was very interesting, awesome for me to have different ways, methods, because in my country we have a little more another method skills about the care about child, and I really interested about it. And I want to ask about that, like, can I not work just like to have a little more experiences in the centers here. Yeah.
Well, that would be the Early Childhood Education 103 and 104, where you do lab work. You're there 3 days a week doing 3-hour shifts.
Oh.
So 9
hours a week you would be in the
You're
labs.
there
Oh.
with children doing activities while the teachers are giving you feedback and showing you how to do things, and you're taking a class. So I would really recommend those 2 classes, 103 and 104. We have a lot of international students.
We do. We
that go
have
through the
international
program.
students. Some years we have four or 5 different countries represented. So what country are you from?
I'm from Kazakhstan.
Okay.
It's near the Russia and the
Yeah, right. Well, we've had Russian students
We have
for,
somebody from Turkey right
we have
now,
Turkey, Bulgaria,
Japan.
Korea. Yeah, we have at least 4 countries represented this semester who
Yeah.
are working
So-
at the lab school.
it's really good.
We,
Yeah.
yeah, and we welcome any other culture, and
Yeah.
for us it's a plus.
It's a
because we
benefit,
get to
yeah.
learn,
Yeah.
and the children get to learn too, your language. We do counting in Italian. I had to learn in Italian to support Lucia. I have another child who is, his grandparents are from Germany, so I learned how to count in German so I can help him. And I am fluent in Spanish, so I also teach the children Spanish. I only know how to count in French. I don't know anything else, but we do it sometimes. So it's, yeah. Yeah,
Thank you.
I encourage you to 103 and 104.
Good, thank you.
Will you be here next year?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
will be here.
Because 103, you have to take it before 104, and it's only offered in the fall.
Oh.
So, but there are other classes that aren't in the lab that you could actually take next semester, and maybe
Yeah,
you want to
it's
talk
my
about.
first year in here.
Yeah,
Oh,
see
okay.
what we
That's
can
why it's-
have you take next semester.
Okay.
All
good.
right,
Thank
good.
you.
More questions?
Yeah.
Hang on a second, any more questions?
This-
Lydia, you have a question.
I do. I'm really curious, Tannen, where you are situating your sustainability childcare.
My little farm school. Well, it's actually on Hollister. It's right across the street from the food bank and the Ben Page Youth Center. It's an old, you wouldn't know that, you know, I have a little center back there. We have our chickens, our chicken coop in the front, and, you know, we have our own parking lot up there. It's a little more than half an acre, and it had a lot of old fruit trees. Some of them were completely, you know, they weren't savable, but the first thing that we did was put water on the property because there was no water. There was literally one faucet up near the house, so everything was in pretty sad shape, and so we landscaped the back, and it's a pretty fun place. It's been a work in progress with all of the children, and you know, we have an organic garden, and it's very rewarding to just watch the children kind of create it, to let them kind of create the environment and be such a huge part of it. So
I like how you can share, you can kind of work your passion into
Yeah.
the field.
You can.
Kind of like you
Yeah.
did, Julie, with your
Mhm.
international
Yeah.
travel
Mhm.
and how other cultures. So, I mean, just, it's neat to see how you've created a unique
I
niche.
think in the field, the big word that really speaks to me is flexibility, and whether that be in the classroom or in what your goal or your dream is, or working, with children, but it's to be flexible. And when I was developing this school, I'm still developing it, but I had this, plan, this playground drawn out, and I had swings in one area on paper, and I had a bike path on the other, and once we started putting some grass in, and we had like this hill, and I kind of, really observed and paid attention to what the children were doing with it and how they were working in the environments, and we'll never have swings, and we'll never have a big concrete bike path now, and it's all about letting go and just being flexible with what your real goal is, or just letting it kind of transpire on its own. So that's pretty much been my
Yeah.
whole, anyway. Yeah.
You have a question?
Oh, no, I was
Oh.
just really enjoying the stories, and I was ready to apply for a job there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's wonderful.
It was hard. I was licensed as a family child care at first, even though we ran it like a small little center. So the main classroom in our school was actually where the living room of the house was. And I had my living room tucked away in a little, like one of the bedrooms, because it's like a 4-bedroom house with extra rooms. And while we went, we waited to get our approval from our architect, our plans and everything to start construction, and we finished it last summer. And this is like the end of the summer. I actually have a living room now, and the school. So not only do I have residential, but I'm dual zone. So I have a residential house, which is I have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms to myself, and then the school is on the, it's still on the same. Anyway, so it's interesting, but it's rewarding.
Cool. You have more questions? I know our friend in the front row does, but I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance here. Yes, go ahead.
So, I wanted to know, like, if you could do like any like practice with like to know like with kids to know if like you really want to do it, and like I've been like looking for jobs and everything to do it, and they're all like you need ECC classes, and so I was like wondering if like you could do anything without having those ECC
Easy classes. I can tell you from I could legally hire someone, without ECE units, and I'm not saying that I never would. I think if I felt like the person for me was right, and I felt like, they'd be willing to enroll and get their EC units, it can be done. For me right now at this stage, I'm so small that the next person I hire has to have ECE units, because I need to be able to leave them alone with the children. But there are other programs where they might have a little bit more flexibility, and they might be able to, if you show an interest and you enjoy working with children, they might be able to work with you if they see that in you.
And I would really encourage you to consider taking a class.
Yeah.
Because regardless of whether you find out that this is where in early childhood you want to be in the classroom with children or not, the only way to find out is by taking the class. But even if you love to be with children and you've done babysitting, it's different to be the teacher in the classroom. It's different. And if you try and be the teacher in the classroom without having those skills yet, you're gonna burn out, because it's not an easy job. But once you're done with the program, or a class, or 2 classes, or 3 classes, because once you go in, I have a feeling you're just gonna continue going. But the more classes you take, the more skills you have on your tool belt. So when something happens, you know what to do. That one doesn't work, you know what to do. If you don't have anything on your belt, you're gonna burn out. It's not
Children
easy.
know when you don't have anything.
Oh, they
smell it.
Yes. In our last school, they go, well, she's a student teacher. She's got her name tag. Like, yes, but she told you to get off the table, and you will get off the table. Okay. But, you know, in the beginning, and this happens to student teachers, they're just like, I don't know what to, what do I say? I said get off the table, and they said, no, you're not the boss of it. What do? You will learn that in class. You will learn that in the lab school.
I'm really glad you said that, Fabi, because when you asked the question, I was thinking, well, we have different after-school care providers and different leisure learning who are often looking for interns or volunteers, and that could be one way to do it. And but then I had that same thought. I was like, gosh, but they sometimes just kind of let you go on your own, you know, or they want you to come and teach a sport or teach a craft. Which I think is a lot different, and
some people burn out at that stage, and it's like, no, but you're in the right path. You just need to
have some
skills.
Yeah.
So then, because you know they have that passion for children, you love children, you love working with children, but there are times when those children are not so cutesy, and you know, and they're
we won't name names.
Asking, where they're needing your assistance to facilitate a problem, a frustration, or they're in the middle of a tantrum. Those are the times where you're like, what do I do? What do I say? What's my philosophy? What do I believe in? And those are the things that you could only get through taking the classes. I mean, you could get it through experiences too, but it's harder because you don't have somebody giving you feedback or asking you a certain question that's going to make you think, well, I don't know how I feel about that. Let me reflect on that. Or writing a paper about something. You're probably not going to do it on your own. Maybe you will. But for me, it was way easier to just take a class and have them question, you know, ask me things, and me go, well, I don't know. This is how I was brought up, but now I see this different way, and which one do I like and why? And once I found out what that was, and I was sold on it, and I'm selling it to other people now, to other student teachers, it's much easier for me to know what to say, to know what to do, to know how I'm going to respond, because I believe it. And it's going to be kind of hard to convince yourself, and you know, if it's after school care or whatever program, but you're not quite sure what to do, and like Kristen said, they're needing help, so they're probably going to hire you or let you be a volunteer, so that here's your group of children, go ahead and this is your activity. You might not know what to do, and there's probably not going to be somebody with you, shadowing you to assist you in that, because you're kind of helping them. But in the program, it's different, because you go there, you have assignments, you have certain responsibilities, but there's always a teacher nearby where you can turn around and say, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, these 2 children just hit each other, or both children said they had the ball first, and this child says they had the ball first, and that child, and they're all crying, and I don't know what to do. Then we step in and say, watch what I'm going to do, listen to what I'm going to say, or if you're feeling ready, we might say, try saying this, try saying that, and you will do it, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it worked. And then, you know, again, that's going to be something for your tool belt. So
I think one of the other things to say is that the ECE program is unique in that we do put you with children your very first. If you take 103, the first lab class, you don't have to go and get your bachelor's degree before we put you in a classroom. You can go in your first semester or next fall and start working at the lab school. You take a 5-unit class, you come to 2.5 hours on Wednesday night with me, you work in the lab school 3 days a week, you're going to find out really quickly if this is what you want to do or you don't want to do. And that's what we encourage people who think they want to work with children, take the lab class. Even if you think you want to be an elementary teacher, you're not going to get in the classroom with kids for a long time. So come do this. This will also help you understand the developmental stages up until the level that you're going to work with children, and we'll help you develop guidance techniques, strategies, help you understand child development, how to do activities, and how to work in a collaborative environment. So it is a real advantage to be able to work with children in a classroom situation and not have to wait until your 4 years are up.
You may be interested in developing toys for children. I don't know, in a big company, all your focus is to make toys, but you need to know how children play so that you can make a good toy to sell, right? So there's just something magical about being with children and having that experiences, no matter where you think you're going to take it, opening up a new center, like I said, working in a factory, developing a toy, I don't know, developing something that has to do with children, going into politics. Please know what children actually do if you're going to go into politics with children. Everyone should be in the classroom with children to learn about children. It's not all going to be able to come from a book. The theory and what you learn in class helps you a lot, but you need the hands-on experience. Yes.
You sound like you got some good advice there. Any more questions before we go back to, what's your name?
Chris.
Chris. Go ahead, Chris. Fire away.
My question is, well, I have a friend. She also own her own center. I think she have 14 or 15 kids. I can't remember. But she don't have an AA or like a BA. So, but she because I'm going here to Santa Barbara City College. She keep asking me if her experience will transfer somehow in anything related to the courses. And I don't know how to answer
Okay,
that.
at the community college level, we don't give credit for life experience. There are some private colleges, such as Antioch, that may create units for you that you got out of life experience. The way the community colleges system is set up in the state of California, you actually have to take coursework to get credit for coursework. So, no, she wouldn't get, credit, but if she wants to use her center as her lab site, that's something we can work out. If she takes work experience and uses her center as her place of her hours for work experience. The key is, though, before you can take work experience, you have to have 6 units of ECE, because we want to encourage what you were talking about, that we don't want people to be hiring people, we don't want centers to be hiring people where they can't leave an adult alone with a child. If you need to have a child go to the bathroom and you can't send this person to the bathroom with them, what good is it? So we encourage students to have at least 6 units, then take the work experience. Then she can take 103 and 104 and use her own work site as her lab site, if that's what she chooses. So there's those options, but the whole concept of getting units for experience isn't something that happens in the community college system.
Okay. You say that I heard that you had to pre-apply or something like that?
There were times when I first came that you had to apply, and when Bobby came, you had to apply. There is no longer that requirement for the ECE program.
But the class fills up very fast, and it's usually full.
Every class was full last semester, generally within 2 weeks of registration opening, because the supply is greater than, the demand is greater than our supply of classes. But if you're diligent and watch, people drop. They sign up for a class and then they drop, and you just keep watching that registration thing, and we made accommodations, and I think we were able to get everyone into the lab class who needed to do the lab class this semester in order to graduate on time. We're working on the other classes as well. So they do fill up, but the other piece is watch for drops and people changing their schedules before the semester starts.
So for anyone interested in getting a degree on ECC or...
Can I say something? Because it is really important actually to take the classes if your friend is planning on having a center, and even though she may have a, I don't know, it sounds like is it a family child care?
No, she's licensed.
It's a commercial center? Or
a family
a
child
licensed
care.
licensed
Family
family
child
care.
care.
Yeah.
So basically, anyone can do a family child care. Your grandmother who lives in an apartment, I'm just saying, can operate a family child care. So I only know because I started from having a family child care in 1997. I got licensed for 6 or 8 children. But it makes such a difference to have the education behind you. You know and you learn so much, and really you want to be able to have a program and be able to really meet the child's needs from a professional level, so that the frustrations that you may have not having any type of education working with children will probably all be answered. I'm not saying that you don't get frustrated, but you definitely have a little more clarity and maybe why that temper tantrum is happening, and maybe you might be able to just it's just something that your friend would want to have anyway.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Should she just come here to the council, or
She could
talk
do
to
that. She
somebody?
can call me or Kelly in the department and just get some advice on registering for next semester. 102, we also have classes, I was thinking, that are online. We have classes that also count for general ed, so if you're not sure you want to do it and you don't want to waste a class, take ECE 102, Child, Family, and Community, take Teaching in a Diverse Society, which are both classes that count on the GE, what is it called, for the college,
Yeah.
They meet GE requirements for anyone who's going to Santa Barbara City College. So, and we also have classes that transfer to Cal State and UC, whether or not you go in as an ECE major. So there's lots of options without doing the lab classes that you can get started on in spring semester, or she can.
I did it backwards. I actually did the lab classes like at the very end. I mean, I must have like 40-something ECE units, but I did my lab classes later because it just in my path that's the way
your life went.
that worked.
Yeah.
I definitely kept connected with everyone else, but I was already I was teaching in a program, and that's the way that you can find your way, because it doesn't work for everyone just to enroll in the program and do it all at once and get your degree in ECE and then go get a job in the field, or it just doesn't work like that for everyone. So there are creative ways, and Julie and Kelly are very resourceful and very helpful. Because I think I took that online class a couple of times because it was so hard for me. I'm like, I have to take a class online. I couldn't. It's difficult. Yeah.
All right. Is there any way I can get your number so I can give it to her? Or
Sure. I'm sorry I didn't bring any cards with me. I should have thought about that. But let me just, is the college number at the beginning there, the 9650581? That's the college switchboard number.
Yeah, 96051. Yeah.
Yeah. Then my extension is 2859. Or Kelly's, his is 2290.
Do you have a question? Great.
Working with children who have particularly they're challenged, have special needs, what are some avenues that might work? I'm in a child developmental class, child psych now, because the other ones are full, but I'm interested in working with special needs.
Well, one of the things that we have is we have an inclusion program at our lab school. So there are 4 children who are designated as high special needs by the County of Santa Barbara, and they are enrolled 4 days a week in our center. They come with a preschool specialist every day, and with the addition of one day a physical therapist, one day speech therapist, one day, a variety of specialists come in with those children. But it gives you a way to do observations and see what's going on with an inclusion program, an inclusion model of kids with special needs in the preschool age. We also have a course that I'm getting developed right now and to put online because there are no more physical spaces to offer classes on campus, and it's ECE 123, Working with Children with Special Needs. It should be in our rotation the next academic year. It's going through curriculum right now to get changed so it can be online. But we do have the resources, we do have the connections, we know what's happening with the county Office of Special Ed. There are self-contained special ed classrooms in our community, mostly at Franklin and at the center up at, 4400 Cathedral Oaks, at County Office of Ed, Special Ed up there. And there's a lot of centers. I think there are 10 inclusion programs in preschools in Santa Barbara. I know that Evergreen has 2 or 3 inclusion programs in their school. We have one. I think UCSB has inclusion programs.
Does did they have one?
They did for a while.
Okay. I thought because I had someone come
And do you have
to
to take them
evaluate
in
someone last
order?
week.
In other words, you have to go through 103?
No, the only prerequisite course is 104. You have to have 103 before you can take 104. And then there's limitations on enrollments in our administration classes that you have to have had 12 units before you can take administration classes. And then there's another class, 128, observation and curriculum. Again, you have to have 12 units. Because unless you have child development, you can be taught how to do observations, but you don't know what it means in terms of development. So those are the only ones. Everything else is open enrollment, no specific sequence. There are 8 core courses for the certificate and the degree. There are also additional courses in infant and toddler care, in administration, adult supervision. We're developing some more in bilingual and bicultural.
Area of special needs is something that there's a real need for? Or
Yes,
is it sort
there
of-
is. There is a huge need for special ed people. In fact, the county actually hires a lot of people with no units at all because they're having trouble getting people who are
Well, that's
really
interesting.
qualified.